Welcome to the Wake Up Dad Show. This is episode number 31.
And I said, what is that thing that you would do for free for the rest of your life if money was not even an object? And as soon as I asked him that question, I didn't hear a word that he spoke. Because when I asked that question, that was the question that I was waiting to hear.
Are you confused and overwhelmed about your role in all the craziness that is being a dad? Are you struggling to create the life you hope for? Are you looking for other dads to share your struggles and your triumphs? Or do you just need help waking up in the morning? Join your host, Dr. Scott Vatcher, as he explores the amazing and sometimes crazy world of being a dad. This is the Wake Up Dad Show.
Hey Dad, and welcome to another episode of the Wake Up Dad Show. This show is dedicated to you, the dad who wants more. More success, time, health, fitness, connection, passion, and all-around awesomeness. I'm your host, Dr. Scott, and on today's episode I have an amazing guest with me. His name is Brett Campbell. He's the founder of Fit International, Authority Academy, and Unleash Your Greatness movement. He's the author of the world's most expensive book. He's a speaker, a coach, and most importantly, he's a student. So welcome to the show, Brett.
Hello, Scott, mate. Thanks for having me. A fellow local Gold Coaster, which isn't that ironic? You know, it took us a friend or a mutual connection from all the way over the other side of the world to put us in contact with each other. So, mate, it's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to being on the show and sharing and trying to serve where I can.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah, it's amazing how the world of the internet and podcasting, I'm sitting here in my office, you're sitting there at home. We happen to be on the Gold Coast, but you could have been all the way across the world, and this could be happening just as easy.
Yeah, we should have done this at the beach, actually.
Yeah, we about it. Absolutely. So what I want to ask you, first of all, is what do you mean by the world's most expensive book? Tell us about your book.
So let me preface that firstly because, what I don't want to have happen is words get misconstrued. It's the world's most expensive personal growth book. So just in case someone goes, I'm sure there's a book out there for $1 million. So look, we've just launched my first book, which is called Right Now, Why Not You and Why Not Now, which it's a step-by-step framework that can help someone from discovering their vision, designing their path, developing the skill sets necessary, and then finally delivering their dreams into reality. And that's what the whole concept's about. But we've put together, and it coincides with what the purpose of this book. The book is about helping people realize that life's too short to not be living to their full potential, and that you can do something about it right now. You don't have to wait for next month. You don't have to wait for next year or for the ducks to all come and line up. You can start taking action and start creating momentum right now towards living the life that you truly want to be living. And we've created what we call the $1 Million Book. And interestingly enough, we've just been, as of today, this morning, this has been picked up by 230 media outlets around the world. We're getting people reaching out to us like hotcakes here. And the purpose behind that was, if I'm being totally honest, was number one is how do I cut through the clutter of all other, what you would say, quote unquote, self-help books. Okay, because for me and I love what your show's about, your 5 Ps, the purpose, power, parenting, provide, and passion. For me, my purpose and my passion is so strong that I'll do whatever I can or whatever I need to do to get the message out there to people. And I know for a fact, and we're already starting to see it start happening, is by offering this $1 million book along with some amazing unprecedented bonuses to the lucky person who picks up the book. Things such as, I'll name a couple for you. Imagine what your ideal, what the perfect life could look like. A 12-month luxury mansion rental here on the Gold Coast. You get your 12-month private personal trainer, personal chef. You get a luxury car, Ferrari, Lamborghini for the year. You get a private masseuse. There's the ultimate Bali immersion experience. There's so many things that we've packaged up in this thing to make it, and it really coincides with and is congruent with the message of the book is living to your full potential and making the most of every opportunity we have.
So let me get this right. So is is it an actual book with extras, or is it like a package of like this is the dream life, like this is it?
So the limited edition book holds the keys to unlocking what we call the treasure chest of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and experiences. So to unlock that experience, there is a book that you must purchase for $1 million US.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
of course, that's going to be for a very rare person. The book is available for, from a book perspective, if someone just wanted to pick up a copy, for $9.95 right now during our launch phase. But we've created what we call, and if you go, you can check out the website, and we've got many different book bundles, right? So what we wanted to do was not just provide one book. We wanted to give people opportunities to experience certain other experience. So we've got a $1 million book here. We've also got a $200,000 book bonus where someone could pick up, several copies, that's 1,000 copies of the book, along with another experience that they can unlock by picking up that bundle.
That's great. So you got the buy-in at $9.95, and then the levels up from there. So that is, I must admit, a truly unique situation that you've created. I love it.
It is, and the funny thing was with this, Scott, is I'm working with some people who have been in this game for a long time, right? I'm being totally honest, transparent. This is my first actual book that I've written, so this is all new territory to me. But I've been marketing, I've been in business, especially in the online world for some time, and I know how to generate buzz. I know how to create fans, leads, customers, etc. into our businesses, but. And this is where I think it comes back to really knowing, and when you're connected to that passion, when you're connected to that purpose, that you will go above and beyond, and you'll do certain things that other people won't do. I've had everyone I've actually told this to, there's only been one person out of probably about 20 people I've actually expressed this concept to who didn't really like it. And then it sort of got and ahhed, but this person, I really appreciated this person and their advice. So 20 people could tell me it was great, but there's still one person I was sort of like, oh geez, do I do it? Do I not do it? And you know what? One thing I've done that I think is one thing that I hold true to me is this concept called intuition. And, I wish more people followed their intuition and their gut feel. And for me, it was just something that I felt, I need to get this out there and we'll see what happens. And, 230 media outlets from America actually have picked this up, and around the world have picked up the story. So, look, we're right in the heat of it. We're right in the heat of it.
That's an amazing achievement there, to get 230 different outlets to get on board. So, I mean, that alone, as far as a business achievement, is fantastic. Regardless.
Yeah, I'm talking outlets like Yahoo, Yahoo Finance, that has 78 million hits a day on their website. So some really big publications have picked it up. Why? Because it's different. It's unique. I could have sat there and go, okay, so I've got this book. I've got a great audience personally, and I'll sell thousands of copies of the book. But it's not about selling thousands of copies. For me, it's about getting this message out to as many people's ears as I possibly can. And if this is one avenue that can help me, jump up a couple of stairs a little bit quicker, then that's entirely, the route I'll certainly take every day of the week.
And so you did mention a website. What is that website?
So if you go to brettcampbell.net/book, so BRETT campbell.net/book, go check it out. We've got literally from one copy up to tens to 1,000 copies. But as you see, it the bundles get obviously a lot more exciting as that scales up. And this is another lesson I think for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're in your own business at all, but it's that concept of allowing yourself to dream bigger. Right now, most people would go, why would I put $1 million book? No one's going to buy this for $1 million. Right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, I truly do believe that, hey, someone could potentially pick this purchase up.
Yep.
So we're ready. We are ready to execute on that. So, it's not just I had an idea and go, I wonder what will happen and we'll see. Right? I mean, I'm confident that we could sell this book for $1 million.
Yeah, I'm confident too, and I can't wait to hear when it happens. So you mentioned about the idea of looking from, like, am I getting that, like, your big message, like we'll call it P number one, purpose. So, like, your purpose behind this message is to go from, or to help people go from dreams to reality. And it's because life is too short.
It is. I had a tragic instance happen to me in my life. Dear friend of mine passed away. The circumstances and the story that led up to that was just, it was so surreal that it was just meant to be. I'll give you the real quick snapshot of it. Basically, 8 years ago, I moved from New Zealand where I grew up, and I moved to Australia to start a new life in search of myself, in search of what's this purpose? What's this thing that Brett Campbell's put on this planet to do? Right? I've always known within inside of myself that I was destined for something greater, but I didn't know what that actually was. I couldn't put a finger on it, right? I didn't have an understanding, and I had no one in my circle of influence at that stage who was really motivational in the sense and who could guide me along this journey. So I thought, I have to go this alone. Jumped on an airplane, moved to Australia, and my friend at the time, she just got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I wasn't there, so I didn't really get to experience the entire reality of that. So she went through the breast cancer, she had her surgery, she went through chemotherapy, and she came out the other end perfectly fine. Everything was great. A couple of years later, she got a headache, went to the doctors, found out she had brain cancer. It was at that time where I thought, oh, geez, this is starting to get pretty serious, So I jumped on an airplane, I flew over, and I actually went to chemotherapy with her. I went into a session with her because I wanted to. I was like, I want to go and see what you're actually experiencing. I want to be a part of this there for you. And look, I just shared this a little bit earlier actually as well, and it's this is the second time I've ever shared this. But I was sitting in this room with about 20 patients all hooked up to chemotherapy, and I'd never seen such a happy bunch of people. It was surreal. Everyone was joking around. Everyone was having fun. And, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that when death faces you in the mirror, front on, maybe your outlook just changes. And I didn't really understand the capacity of it. I was very humbled, though, and it made me feel very grateful about the life that I'd been able to create. Because at the time, we'd built a fitness company, helped hundreds of thousands of people literally around the world, got over 45,000 clients, customers that we serve. And on the outside, I thought, life looked very successful, but on the inside, I felt like it wasn't. This was just a bit of a wake-up call to that. Anyhow, I jumped on a plane, came back home, and she was nearing the end of chemotherapy, and I rang up her husband and said, hey, look, I'm thinking about coming over. When can I come and see you guys? He goes, a few weeks. She's coming out of the hospital. She'll be home on Tuesday. And this was a Thursday night. I said, cool, I'll jump off, book my ticket now for a few weeks. Jumped off and went to book my ticket, and then this overwhelming feeling of intuition again, that feeling I talked about a little bit earlier, that gut feel came over me, and I realized that I shouldn't book this ticket. So I got back on the phone and said, hey, look, I can't come over in a few weeks. And I said, I'm going to come over on Tuesday. He goes, oh, okay, well, if you can, that's fine, cool. So Tuesday I flew over, get to their house Wednesday morning, and he's walking down the driveway to meet me. He just lets me know that she had a bit of a rough night last night, had hard time sleeping. I said, that's cool. Walked inside, sat down beside her, and realized, I sat down beside her and held her hand, and it was literally like ice cold. And I held on for a few more moments, and her eyes opened really wide, and I could see in her eyes, like for a moment, all the pain that she was feeling just totally dissipated. And she whispered into my ear, and she goes, Brett, thank you so much for coming. And 3 hours later, she passed away in front of us. I was like, what the? Like, I couldn't really fathom what had just happened. And then it was 7 days later, I was on the plane on the way home, and I was sitting there on the plane and reminiscing on all the conversations I had over the few days of people going, wow, Brett, everything must be great. You're doing so well. You're helping all these people. You're building a great business, et cetera, et cetera. But on the inside, I didn't feel like I was that successful. I felt like I was still incomplete. I felt like I'd felt my entire life where I had not truly found or connected with that thing that I was meant to be doing on this planet, and I just broke down in tears. I was sitting on the plane breaking down, and it it wasn't breaking down because of her passing. I'd been mourning that entire week, so that wasn't the reason as to why this happened. I was sitting there and I was like, wow, what if this was me in 6 months? What if this was me actually in 12 months? What if I only had 2 years, 3 years, 5 years left to live? Would I be happy looking back if I stayed on the same path? Could I look at myself and say, Brett, you lived to your full potential. You chased your dreams every single day. And I couldn't at that time. On the outside, it looked like I could, but internally I couldn't. And that's where I was sitting on the plane, and I came to the question of, okay, what is it that you really want to do? And for me, that was that enlightening moment, I guess you would say, where I really connected this thing that I knew I'd wanted to serve hundreds of thousands, millions of people around the world. I always had visions of standing on front of stages in front of thousands of people. But I put that down to, as I was growing up, is I just wanted to be an actor, or I wanted to, just make people laugh, and because it was the feeling that I felt when I seen someone light up in front of me. And I connected to this thing of, why don't you share this? This is the message that you need to be sharing, that life's too short. I don't want people to have to feel what I just went through, that entire experience. I want people to be able to realize and make sure that when they look back, when it's all said and done, they can say, they lived every single day chasing their dreams. They lived every single day with intention, and they loved with passion. And, I just felt compelled. I was pulled from within to actually do it. And the question came to me, well, first thing, the roadblock jumped up and go, why, who's going to want to listen to you? Why you? But then I flipped it around and I was like, why not me? Why can't it be me?
And there's the title of your book.
And the next question was, when should I do it? And I was like, well, what's stopping me from doing it now? Why wait next week, next month, next year? And then I said, well, why not now? And you're right, that's where the title of the book, Right Now. Why not you, and why not now? That's where it came from.
That's quite an amazing story. So thank you, first of all, for sharing that. And, I just want to circle back on a few things that you mentioned there, saying, when you met these people in chemotherapy, and they were happy, and they, when death is staring you in the face, that there's a different perspective that happens. And, life is all about perspective. No matter where you are in your life, it's all about how you view that. And you mentioned it can be a real wake-up call. And that's really where the name of this podcast came from, Wake Up Dad, is because I want my mission with this Wake Up Dad movement is to help dads wake up, to help them to go from unconscious to conscious, to basically a lot of the same things that you're talking about, which is really awesome. And I think the big question is, what do you really want to do? And that's a question that probably a lot of people can't answer.
Here's a question I like to frame it. And this actually happened. I was walking down I remember this vividly, the 7th hole at Palmer Gold Coast. I was walking down the golf course, and I was asking a friend of mine at the time who we were playing golf, every Monday and Friday. We'd take Monday, Fridays off. We would play golf for the entire year. And
nice.
I asked him a question because he was going through a bit of a transition in his own life. He's a father of 3 young kids. Had a very successful business, went bankrupt, starting again, and doing what he knew best. But no, I knew that wasn't the thing that he really wanted to do. And I just asked him this question, and I said, what is that thing that you would do for free for the rest of your life if money was not even an object? And as soon as I asked him that question, I didn't hear a word that he spoke. Because when I asked that question, that was the question that I was waiting to hear. But then I followed up by saying, so what would you do for free for the rest of your life if money wasn't an object? But more importantly, what would you no longer be doing? And wow, that just, for me, we'd build franchises, we'd build a fitness college, we'd created products and services online, courses, so many things. I was like, oh my gosh, that's got nothing to do with me standing on stages sharing this message with the world, with people who want to start improving their quality of life.
So do you have, that's a brilliant question. I'm gonna steal that one. What do you have for dads on a practical level? Because that question is amazing and it can really switch your mindset. But how can a dad, let's go back to your history. You started out as a cabinet maker, and now you are this amazing entrepreneur who travels around the world and is selling $1 million book. Like, how does the average dad out there listening who might be stuck in a job that they either don't like, they hate, they're not making the money they want, they're not fulfilling their purpose, what are some actions, some things, and I'm sure you go into this in your book, but can you share for the listeners something that they might be able to do today on a practical level to start to create these changes?
Sure. I'll share a tip with you in a moment, and it's a little exercise that I highly recommend you do it. I did it the other day on a Facebook Live just randomly, and a mother actually took it up, and she came back 30 minutes later going, "Oh my God, thank you so much for giving me that." I went and implemented it, and it has just made my day, her week, her month. It was just very transformable, and it was a very simple thing, which I'll share with you. I just want to highlight a couple of things that you said there. I am an average guy, okay? I'm just an average guy who's willing to do what it takes to achieve what he wants to achieve. That's it. I'm no smarter than anyone else. Again, I got kicked out of high school at 16, not because I was a bad student or anything. It was because I talked too much, which is interesting. Go figure. I should send my high school teacher the 30 or the 29 episodes that we've done in the last 2 weeks on different shows and go, "Hey, thanks for getting me kicked out of school." But
and at the same time, maybe send her the offer for the $1 million book.
Yeah,
do you want this?
Actually, I should send her a book signed. That'd be hilarious.
That'd be great.
But again, I look at that and I thank her for that because it created something within inside of me, right? But that's another topic. But you're talking about something tactile, something that a father could do. Who's maybe you're in a job right now, maybe you're not, doing that thing that you want to do. First things first, before I give you this tip, is you need to get clear on what that actual purpose is. Because if you're not clear, if you can't, this is the distinction. Okay, this is the distinction. If you cannot stand on Oprah Winfrey's couch, jumping up and down, screaming from the top of your lungs, saying, "This is exactly what I'm meant to be doing on this planet," if you can't do that, then that's not what you need to be doing. For me, I will stand on Oprah's couch and I will scream on the back of my lungs. I will do backflips, twists, anything you tell me to do on that couch, because I'm so congruently aligned with what it is that I truly want to be doing that it doesn't become hard. It's not a hard thing. So I think the majority of people out there are not allowing themselves or giving themselves permission to firstly uncover, which we call discover their true passion. The second thing they must do is strategically start intentionally designing the life that you truly want to live, right? And here's where I can throw in a tip. If you want to, and this is something that I highly recommend you do, is sit down, get a book, get a blank piece of paper, and write down how you want your child or children, what would you want them to say about you? If someone interviewed your children, what do you want your children to say about you? And then check in with yourself and go, are you being congruent with that? Are you being congruent with that? And majority of, sometimes I know what it's like. I'm not a father per se myself, but I know enough about human psychology and emotional intelligence to understand relationships and how they can work better. So if you want a better relationship, you need to work at creating a better relationship. Here's a very easy thing that I want to put a challenge out to everyone listening. When you get home today or during lunch or whenever you're listening to this, when you next see your child, I want you to greet your child, talk to your child, be around your child as the 2.0 version of you. Okay? But first things first, you must uncover what is that 2.0 version. What would super dad look like? How would I need to speak to my children? How would I need to listen? What would I need to do? Right? It's really about uncovering what does that look like and then going to execute on it. I shared this the other day, like I said on a live, and a lady on there, she goes, "Yep, I'm going to go and do it." And she actually sat down. She goes, "Wow, I can't believe it. I sat down, picked up her daughter from school. They got home. She didn't have the music on in the car, so her daughter just started talking about her school day. And then her daughter goes, 'Mummy, I miss us doing that.' And she realized that, oh my gosh, I used to pick up my children and always ask them about their day. But all of a sudden, something must have happened, or whatever the case, and then all of a sudden the routine of radio being on in the car happened. So it's just being more aware of what you're doing, and is it congruent, right? We're not perfect. No one's perfect at this stuff.
That's so true. And I've got a saying that I use, and it's really increased more and more in my life as I'm doing more and more getting out there in the world as well. It's like done beats perfect. And
done is better than perfect, 100%.
Perfect is actually a myth. It's never going to happen. And I think that's what stops a lot of people is they say, okay, when things are perfect, I'll move forward on this. Or, I might have this dream of creating this type of business or whatever, but I need to wait until the kids are older. I need to wait until I'm making more money. I need to this, that, the other thing. And, what I'm getting from you is your message is now. That's your whole book. Right now. Right now. Because procrastination is a killer, literally, of dreams, of lives, of families.
100%. 100%. You're talking to the right person about
and
that.
I love that, what do you want your children to say about you next? And it's come up in a few other episodes recently that I've recorded as well, as, taking that another sort of step further is to make sure, ask your kids as well, right? Like, you have a vision of what super dad looks like, but your kids have a version of what super dad looks like too. And
exactly.
It's probably a mixture of both that's going to really create that magic.
Yeah. And here's another tip for all the fathers and men out there is ask your partner what her favorite sex position is. Ask her what gets her off better. Seriously. Take the manhood ego down for a moment and just go, hey, what is it that you love the best? And give her more of that. Like it's the principle you can use in anything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely, P number 5, passion. That's where it's at, right? And that is the thing that, interestingly enough, with most dads that I've gotten on the show through the early childhood years, is that the passion gets lost more than anything else. Passion and power. We tend to get a bit fatter and a bit lazier. And, we've got to be able to step up that game and create some changes. So I want to hear a little bit more about your Unleash Your Greatness movement. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So the Unleash Your Greatness movement ties into this concept of the right now, why not you, why not now? So the book process about life's too short to not be living to our full potential, and that there is a strategy, there is a way, there are steps, there are processes that you can start taking right now to create momentum towards moving towards the life you truly want to live. And I'm here as a messenger. All I want to do is shine a spotlight down on people and go, hey, just to let you know, life's still ticking away, and I just want to remind you, if you're not living to your fullest potential right now, or you are not being proud of the person you are, if you were to look back at the end of the day when you're laying in bed, you go, geez, how did I operate today? Was I the 2.0 version, or was I the 1.0 version, or was I the 0.2 version? And if so, we go, cool, well, how do we actually become the best version of ourselves? And I think that's for me, it's been the quest of my entire life. When I look at it, it's been the quest for my entire life, and it will be until the day I pass.
And you mentioned it just then. It's a day-to-day process. This is something we should be looking at day to day, because some days, we all have some days that are just magic. They're just amazing, and other days that just suck. We all have that. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. If you say that you don't have days that suck, you're lying. I don't care. But the key is to transition from more days of the magic and less days of the suck.
Of course, or train your brain so that when those sucky days do come up, instead of being roadblocked and derailed for 2 weeks, you're only derailed for a day, and you take it for what it is and you move on.
Absolutely. And you can do that by having daily practices, making sure, each day is different. You go to bed after a sucky day, wake up the next day, get back into that routine of the things that are going to help you to become who you want to be. So with your book, how's it broken up just give us a little bit more details, because we're going to obviously put the link to your book on our
Sure.
site. Is it is there obviously chapters, and is then there to-do exercises in there? Is it more theoretical?
Sure. So the book's broken up into 4 phases. So the discover phase is where you discover your vision. Design, which is designing your path towards greatness. Develop, which is developing the skill sets necessary, developing yourself, developing your support crew. And then finally deliver, which is looking at, your rules for life, how you execute. So it's broken up into a step-by-step process. Why? Because everything I do, whether it be in business in the Authority Academy, where we teach and help business owners grow their business, it needs to be done in this is where you currently are, this is what we need to work on, and this is where we need to go, right? Because if you throw a big blanket over someone, they'll just get smothered by it. People need to know where they are and what they need to be moving towards. In the phase 1, discover, we look at who are you really? Who are you? And by doing that, we ask the tough questions. In order to get the best answers, you must ask the best questions. We also look at this concept of purpose. People ask me, how do you find your purpose? And I simply say, well, your purpose, you don't find it. It's already found you. And we talk about that as well there. And designing your life. Who sits down and strategically actually plans their life? Not many people, I can assure you of that. So then we look at, designing your surroundings. How are your surroundings helping you in your life? Like, here's something, and I'll ask everyone right now. Let's just check. There's different key areas of your surroundings that you need to look at, but let's just focus on one of them, which is your humble abode, which is your home environment. When you walk into your home environment, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's absolutely perfect, I wouldn't change anything about it, what rating would you give yourself? Now, if you're walking into your home, and most people I've asked this, they'll sit around maybe a 6 or a 7, and that's the sort of area that's very dangerous, because it's enough to be able to live with, but it's not enough to make you cause action to do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're living in a 2, you're going to do something about it, because it's not going to be a great environment. So we look at, how do you intentionally design the surroundings? Now, if we want to tie this back into fatherhood, if you're going home to an environment that you give a 6 out of 10 with, and you're trying to be the 2.0 version father of yourself, look at the trade-offs there. How could you be better? If you're in an 8 or 9 environment where you absolutely love where you live, or your homestead, etc., you're going to be just a much better person as a byproduct of that. Definitely. So there's so many key areas that we need to tie in and sink in together. I was over in America last year, and I was there for 6 weeks, and I was doing a couple of events. And for me, I don't like traveling any more than a couple of weeks. Here's why. I was over there, and someone goes, "Oh man, you must love this. Being on holiday, get to work overseas." I said, "No, I don't like it at all." I said, "I love my house. I love where I live. I don't want it in the weekends. I don't want to go anywhere because I love my home. I'm not a hermit, I obviously do get out and stuff, but I love the environment that I've created. So staying in a hotel doesn't get me excited, because my bedroom's way better than a hotel room."
Yep.
Right? And that's not by chance. It's because it's by design. So all I'm suggesting is everyone start getting intentional about, designing the life they want to live. And then more so, we move into the develop phase like we talked about. And that's where you need to develop the 4 key areas that I truly believe every single human being needs to hone. That's your physiology, your psychology, your personal knowledge, and your productivity. And that's where you start to become the person that you would look down at from 30,000 foot and go, wow, I'm proud of that person. That's me. That's the person we need to become. And then, of course, deliver, putting it into action. How do we make it stick?
You've got your own 4 Ps. I've got my 5 Ps, the Wake Up Dad. You've got your 4 Ps under design. I love it.
And again, it's not by chance. The reason being is it's a framework that, number one, it makes us look a little bit smarter. Let's be honest. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. But the reason why I do this is, and I talk about this a little bit in the develop phase, where we look at personal knowledge. Like, how do you learn? What is it that you learn? I have a method called learn to teach to know to share, and share to inspire from within.
Nice.
What that looks like is every single thing I learn with the method that I'm going to teach it. Whether I teach it or not, I'm going to. Why? Because one thing I had learned, whilst I did get kicked out of high school, I was second in my English class, believe it or not, the class that I got put in the hallway for. Because I uncovered a learning methodology that I didn't really know at the time. I look at it now and I call it speed reading and comprehension, where I would look at things and I would just go and read it as if I was going to teach it to someone. And teaching it to someone I found really resonates and it sticks within me, right? So all of a sudden, yes, I've learned something, but I've learned it so I can, if I have to teach it to someone, I could. Which, from a selfish act, I retain a lot more information.
It's a whole other level. I say it all the time. If you truly want to learn something, teach it.
Yeah, and if you want to remember a story or a joke, because have you ever been told a joke and you're like, that was funny, and then you've forgotten it?
I'm the worst for that. Every time I hear a good joke, I'm like, come on, I got to remember this one. I'm such a bad joke teller.
Yeah. So here's the tip. You need to go and tell that joke to 10 people. If I have a story that I go, wow, that's impactful, that is going to, that's going to help some people out, I will go and tell it to dozens and dozens of people until I can sit there and confidently recall it from anywhere.
Yeah, it's a simple tip, but most tips that work are simple, aren't they?
It is. Dead right.
So if you were fast running out of time here, so I want to sort of sum it up by asking you the question. If you had 2 minutes in front of a room of 1,000 dads who were insanely intently listening to exactly what you had to say and were going to take action on what you had to say instantly, what would be your wake up dad message to them?
I would say that every single one of you have a belief, a circumstance, or a preconceived idea that is holding you back right now from achieving your greatness and whatever that means to you. And I would say that you have the opportunity right now to start creating momentum towards living the life that you truly want to live. Start turning your daydreams into reality. There are people, there are things, there are frameworks and strategies and opportunities out there that will help you get along that. And I'm here to tell you can't do it alone. Drop the male ego shit, that a lot of us males have carrying around with us, and go, you know what? To get to where I need to be, I need help. I need help. And never be afraid to ask for help, because I can tell you, and with 100% certainty, this book that I've created would not be anywhere where it is if I didn't ask for help. The only reason I've done 30 interviews in the last 2 weeks is because I've been asking people for help. And when you truly believe in what it is that you stand for, when you truly believe and you know who you are as a person at the core, and you would do that thing for free every single day for the rest of your life, you owe it to not only yourself, not only your family and kids and so forth, you owe it to every other single human being out there that is not yet hearing the message that if you were to share, could dramatically impact and change the trajectory of that person's life moving forward.
Absolutely. What a great way to end it. So, Brett, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
So you can find me on Facebook. I'm always hanging out on Facebook, or you just go and check out my website, brettcampbell.net. If you want to go check out the book, brettcampbell.net/book. Go check out if there's any of you who's serious, you got $1 million cash lying around and you want to have the most amazing 12 months next year, you better jump onto that, because there's only one available.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Brett. And remember, dads, an ancient proverb once said, for a man to achieve his dreams, he must first wake up. Dad, you're not alone. This is your wake-up call. We're in this together, all for one and one for all. Thanks again.
Do you want to know more about the Wake Up Dad movement? Go to www.thewakeupdadshow.com to download any and all past issues of the show, claim your free gift, or to directly ask Dr. Scott any questions you have. Continue the conversation on the Facebook group Wake Up Dad. Share this podcast with other dads on iTunes or Google Play. Make sure to subscribe to the show and give us a rating so we can reach more dads. And dads, one last thing. Wake up!